Thanks for staying with TVC on World Now. Let's turn our attention to Russia, where the government is reportedly downplaying talks of an imminent summit between President Vladimir Putin and his Ukrainian counterpart, Volodymyr Zelensky. This is as the U.S. President, Donald Trump, renews his call for the two leaders to meet to discuss a mutually acceptable pathway to ending the war in Ukraine. His push for a bilateral meeting between both leaders follows his recent one-on-one meeting with the Russian president in Alaska and his summit with Ukraine's president and 7 European leaders at the White House. We'll have more details in this report.
President Donald Trump has admitted that the Russian-Ukraine war is a tough conflict to solve, but adds that in the next couple of weeks, it will be known if the Russian leader is realistically committed to ending the lingering conflict. He says it is possible that President Putin may not want to reach a peace deal, despite pushing initially for a three-way summit with President Putin and Zelensky. The U.S. leader is now suggesting it would be better for both leaders to hold a meeting without him before meeting with them if necessary. The Russian leader has told President Trump on Monday that he was open to the idea of direct talks with Ukraine, but 24 hours after, his country's foreign minister Sergei Lavrov watered down the idea. Mr. Lavrov said any meeting between both nations would have to be prepared for gradually. A Russian deputy representative to the United Nations, Dmitry Polyansky, says a meeting between both sides shouldn't be a meeting for the sake of a meeting. Meanwhile, NATO's military chiefs are expected to hold a virtual meeting today, just as the UK's military chief, Admiral Tony Radakin, travels to Washington for discussions on the deployment of a reassurance force in Ukraine. Although some headway has been made in terms of security guarantees for Ukraine, the U.S. president wants both countries to move directly into agreement for a permanent peace deal.
Now, for more on the U.S.-led peace negotiation between Russia and Ukraine, global affairs analyst Dr. Jide Ojo joins me from Abuja. Good to have you join us, Dr. Ojo.
It's my pleasure. Good afternoon, my sister.
So future security guarantees for Ukraine looks like a very difficult balancing act and is now the center of focus at this NATO military chiefs meeting. The question really is, how do you think that Europe can help Kyiv navigate a peace deal with Moscow and then also shield it from the resumption of hostilities?
It's going to be a tough call. Because whether we like it or not, Ukraine is suffering on behalf of the NATO allies, or more precisely, on behalf of the rest of Europe. Don't forget, if Ukraine goes down, Russia will most likely move to another country to start another hostility until because it's all about carving out a sphere of influence for itself. Ukraine has never, Russia has never been happy with the dissolution of the USSR. I think about 1991 under Mikhail Gorbachev, and has tried to continue to hold influence on Ukraine, which is its immediate neighbor. And the fact that Ukraine is seeking to join NATO, as well as, welcomes Western influence, the Western world, has been of immediate tension with Russia. So the European leaders need to know how best to advise Vladimir Zelensky so that he does not reject this offer of that U.S. is trying to broker, because as we have seen after the Alaska meeting last week, Donald Trump seems to have reneged on imposing sanctions or any other consequences on the failure to reach a peace deal or to reach a ceasefire last Friday. So, and you saw the tweet of Donald Trump on Monday, where he was saying that Zelensky should think of forfeiting Crimea, as well as what was the other thing? Forfeiting Crimea
and NATO membership.
So one other thing I cannot immediately remember.
But Dr. Joe,
so
if I may come in,
that U.S. is more like dancing to.
Apologies, if I may come in. The other thing you were talking about is NATO membership. But I wanted to also ask you, because you've talked about the USS Arrow being a main goal for Russia. And just before that summit in Alaska, we saw the foreign minister of Russia arrive in the U.S. with a T-shirt written USS Arrow. And that shows that it looks like is the end goal. And so no matter what, and my question really is, if that is the end goal, to what extent can Volodymyr Zelensky pacify Russia if the end goal is to have USS Arrow back within its sphere of influence?
Hello?
Dr. Ojo, I was asking you that if the end goal, like you mentioned, is the USS Arrow, to have a USS Arrow or those countries back within its sphere of influence, then to what extent can Volodymyr Zelensky or Ukraine pacify, President Putin?
Which is why the security guarantees that is being put together by U.S. and NATO leader is very important, because it's not just about giving up the land or giving up Crimea, which has been annexed since 2014. It's also about ensuring that Putin will respect the terms of the peace deal whenever it's brokered. So it has to be under close watch of the European leaders, of NATO, as well as US. Those are the people who can actually ensure full compliance with whatever peace deal that will be brokered in these meetings that is currently holding. Because Putin naturally have reneged on a number of compromises in time past. He has rebuffed any peace deal. He has not accepted a ceasefire. And unless pressure is brought to bear on Russia, that may not see the light of the day. Putin is a very sly, very slick. Although one must also understand that he's trying to protect his own country's national security, because he is afraid of the expansion towards the east, as well as if Ukraine joins NATO, it will present clear and present danger to the security of Russia. So it's all about ensuring that there are security guarantees, and then
it's a very difficult process, like you have mentioned earlier. We're just waiting for the resolution from the NATO meeting of military chiefs. I would have that again conversation as it continues. Thank you so much for your time, Dr. Jide Ojo, Global Affairs Analyst. Always a pleasure to have you on.
It's my pleasure. Do enjoy the rest of your day.